Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Emma's vlog, and she is back into her normal routine. She's going to be able to get back to training the way that she would like to train. We're going to get recovery dialed back in, and because she feels like she's definitely lost a little strength in the last couple months, and we're ready to go again. She's ready to train full time again. Of course, she's been training the best that she can, all things considered. But we're going to get back into the flow, get back to where she was in terms of strength relatively quickly, and then go back to making progress again. So we started the week off with a floor press for, again, her training max. And then she did close grip bench pressing. We're doing chin-ups. So she got chins here. We do upright rows for her shoulders. And then we do band press downs. So, as you guys notice, it's a little more shoulder and tricep focused at the moment. And again, we'll adjust these things around depending upon what's happening with her goals with training. And I will bring her volumes back up. Now that recovery and everything's going to be on point, consistency will be there. We're going to slowly work the training volume back up. And for my lifters, that's one of the things that I do a lot when they're dealing with different things in life or they're super busy, recovery could be compromised. Volume adjustments is one of the biggest things you can do. And this is why I don't like this idea that people try to promote. And by the way, just because some people who are PhDs and things promote it for selling programs doesn't mean the literature supports it. And it sure doesn't mean that the other experts support it. This idea of ramping volume and then resetting, going to from a certain volume, increasing volume, then deloading. There's no real evidence that this actually is beneficial. Instead, we should try to train it at the highest volumes that we can see recovery from and not impact our quality of life. And that's what we look at is fatigue management. So she did a pause deadlift, by the way, for max effort lower day. And then she does split squats with a safety squat bar. And then we finish up with our standard stuff, which is going to be glute ham raises, reverse hyper, hanging leg raises. All right, these are staples. Again, as you guys know, sound like a broken record here, but my lifters who have access to a glute ham raise and a reverse hyper, we're going to tend to use both on lower days. We're going to tend to use both because they're great ways to finish off. In fact, I would say that you almost can't go wrong picking those as supplemental lifts. But back to the other point, we adjust volumes based around stress and fatigue management recovery. Right? That's where volume should be adjusted. You can't predict ahead of time, can we just increase volume in waves? And that's ultimately the sort of problems you run into with linear periodization. Linear periodization, assumes 12-week blocks with zero disruption in your life. Because those systems were written for state-sponsored athletes who it was their job to train, in Eastern Bloc countries. That's where all of that comes from. And it's not always feasible for a normal person. That's why we do concurrent training. And we adjust volumes based upon fatigue management. And fatigue management is probably one of the most important things for a coach to pay attention to. All right, speed bench. Again, she speed benches against bands. We do 3 sets at 3 different grips. Right, we rotate grip widths on it. Then I've got her doing dumbbell presses afterwards. So again, a little more pectoral involved on this day than on her max effort day. Her max effort day was slightly more tricep dominant. In this case, we get a little more pec. We have her do her chins, which she's good at and enjoys doing. That's why we use them. Plus, she's like, I feel like if I don't do chins, my biceps start to shrink. So, we do chin-ups, but then we always, because we do that and we don't always have the volume to put towards rows and things as much as I would like, we need the extra upper back work like these upright rows. But, again, I'll need to slowly work all of her volumes back up, which means higher exercise selection to get us there. And we finish up with these, and then we do band press downs, which, again, tend to be a staple exercise for my lifters. I'm a big fan. I think everyone knows that. I'm a big fan for obvious reasons. because they work. They work, and I'm gonna have a lot more videos coming out discussing these things, because I feel like my bench improvements, the high volume band press downs, have been actually really beneficial. They've been one of the most important factors in my own bench coming back up recently. Now that my shoulder is recovered. All right, dynamic effort lower day. We stick with traditionally just what she enjoys doing and easy to set up with the equipment she has. We do the safety bar against bands on the box squat. And by the way, again, a setup you really can't go wrong with as a choice. It's very popular for good reason among conjugate lifters. Of course, this week in her rotation, she's doing sumo against bands for the speed pulls. Then we do our safety squat bar good mornings. Again, additional posterior chain work, additional hip hinging work. And of course, she does split squats in this slot on max effort day for a little more quads. We're slightly more quad dominant on max effort day and more posterior chain dominant on dynamic day. But there's always going to be a larger focus on posterior chain. There's always going to be a focus on that because, quite frankly, it's more important. It's more important than worrying too much about quads. We only need so much work for quads. Just my opinion as a coach and a strength coach. All right, and then we finish up with glute ham raises, reverse hyperextensions, and hanging leg raises. And again, the hanging leg raises also work the hip flexors. That comes up too. A lot of people will say, why do you like those as ab work? Why is it what you primarily prescribe to people? Well, I don't think that we need much other ab work outside of that. I don't think abs, because they get so much training and our core does this other stuff, I don't think they need multiple different exercises. So I try to go with something that's just really efficient, really effective. And the hanging leg raise, in most studies has usually some of the best overall abdominal activation on EMGs. Not that EMGs are the be-all end-all, they're not. But they're a good indicator. But also because they work the hip flexors. Right, and I tend to agree with Dave Tate when Dave Tate says they're one of the best squat accessories out there. And again, it makes sense when you understand the contribution of the entire abdominal wall involved, the obliques that are involved with it, and then the hip flexors. So again, fantastic exercise for improving your squats. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.